Baby, am I so excited to break down the latest Metropolitan victory. How we doing, everybody? It's your guy Wardy here, and we're back at it with our latest New York Mets post-game show presented by our amazing sponsors at BetUS that has you covered for all of your sports and, of course, casino needs. Bet responsibly, as well as Moomoo, the official trading platform of the New York Mets, and SeatGeek. Save 10% off your next ticket purchase with our promo code Wardy10, link down below. And guys, I am amped up. Why am I amped up, you might ask? That is because the Mets just went in Oracle Park and took down the Giants, and not one, not two, but all three there in San Fran, this time by a final score of 5-3. Edwin Diaz faces a bases loaded one-out jam in the ninth, and it does not matter because of course it doesn't. He shuts down the door, he gets the job done, and who was at the entire focal point of this ball game, everybody? A man that's been in trade rumors, that will continue to be, and a man that I do not want to see outside of Queens right now, and that is Ronnie effing Mauricio. The biggest game for Ronnie yet. He goes 4 for 4 doing his best Wendy's impression with the 4-piece. He's hitting bombs, he's hitting doubles, and he is looking absolutely electric. What an amazing victory, everybody. Spam those W's in the chat right now. Spam those broom emojis in the chat, everyone watching live on a replay. We have a lot to break down in this one, and obviously I'm amped up to do so. How we feeling, everybody, on this fine Sunday evening right now, folks? I know you're feeling good. I'm feeling electric. It's one thing for the Mets to go into a road trip and begin it with a series sweep of the San Francisco Giants that are oh so desperate to find themselves in the win category. And for the Mets here, what do we get, everybody? You get the Mets take down the Giants. They have a series sweep heading into the big matchup starting tomorrow night at Petco Park against those Padres. This is how you start a road trip. This is how you respond from the 22-28 road record entering this West Coast trip to begin with, everybody. And now the Mets, as we know, are 18 games above 500, 2 games away from that 20-piece. We all taste it, we all see it, and the best part, the Yankees took down the Phillies today, so the Mets are firmly in first place by at least one full game now, everybody. Let's get the hype going. How are we feeling? Spam those W's, spam the brooms. You guys know the drill. Hit that like and subscribe button as you guys come in, because, folks, we're giving away a Juan Soto jersey, a Francisco Lindor jersey, whatever player you currently want on the roster, to one lucky subscriber once we hit our next short-term goal of 34,000 on the platform. If you guys want to check out our Wardy Day tickets that are still available, where you guys can hang out with your guy Wardy, they're August 1st, Mets versus the Giants at home this time. Fireworks night this upcoming Friday. It's going to be a blast, and we have less than 10 tickets left, everybody. Should you have interest, check them out. Pin in the live chat right now. Frank, thank you so much for the $2 holla. Frank Sessa, I really do appreciate that. Going up in here, I'm going to try to get to these. Dave with the $5 holla. Love you, Dave. Diaz is scary, but we sweep. Diaz got the job done. That is all that matters here. Ryan with the 5 gifted. My goodness, my God, my gracious. Ryan, thank you so much for gifting Goomba, Lewis, Rocket, and all the others. KCB as well. All you guys, congratulations on becoming members in live chat. That is thanks to you guys being as generous and as kind as always. You guys absolutely make my night. I'm so excited to break down this ball game, everybody. We got another donation real quick, and then we're going to do the jingle here. We got Patrick with the $5 holla saying, you get a home run, you get a home run. Soto looks effing miserable. What is this, Michael K talking about Howard Fleas still? Thank you so much for the donation, Patrick. I love that. Caesar, great member. White Mike, great member. Mario with the $5 holla. He's amped. Sweeping the Giants. Now we take it to Slam Diego. My favorite cousin's wife is a Padres fan, and it's her anniversary tomorrow when, when the series starts. Well, I hope that in the case of their anniversary, it's great, but I hope that in the case of your cousin that they get absolutely heartbroken because the Padres get absolutely steamrolled by these Mets. All half jokes aside, Juliet, thank you so much for gifting a membership in the chat as well. That is beyond kind of you. You've been an amazing supporter as always. JJ with the $2 holla. Let's go, Mets. I was nervous in the ninth. 7 wins, baby. You love to see it, everybody. Now, folks, as we always do, after every big victory throughout the course of the 162, but specifically after now a 7-game heater, guys, we're going to break down all the ins and outs, all the key takeaways from this ball game, from the masterclass on the pitching end. Not so much coaching Kodai Senga, as we'll talk about the pros and cons that came with Mr. Ghost Fork, but it was this bullpen. Are you kidding me? Gregory Soto looking chef's kiss in his Mets debut. Budo, Garrett, really, and Diaz. It wasn't sexy for Edwin in the end, but he looked like such a bulldog to get out of that unscathed. The boys get the job done, and on the hitting end, the Mets did what they needed to do. Not the best outing from some of these guys, but again, just enough here against a San Francisco Giants team, everybody, that the Mets actually held to, yes, a whopping 0 hits with runners in scoring position. The San Francisco Giants entered and ultimately finished this series over in what was over 23 with runners in scoring position. Tremendous job by this pitching staff, tremendous job by this Mets defense, and a tremendous job by these bats to make sure to go out and get him, do enough, and Ronnie Mauricio, what a stud. He was in the heart of it all, everybody. The only reason why you guys don't see Ronnie is because Acuna came in for him at the end of the ballgame for a defense replacement. We're going to talk all about Ronnie Mauricio in this one. You guys, trust me, don't wait. We got a lot to get into with this. But folks, as we always do, let's let it rip with the one, the only, this series sweep 7-game heater edition. WardyNYM post-game jingle, baby. Let's do this. Shout out my guys Greg and Jordan, as always, the creators of the official, the one, the only WardyNYM post-game jingle, everybody. And as Wardy tries to get himself back in focus here, let's go ahead and do that on the camera in a 3, a 2, and... Come on, camera. Come on, there we go. Love to see it. We're locked in. We're back in, baby. If I head to my main slide and if anything pops up, that is my intro for a quick second because I forgot to minimize that. So apologies in advance for the jump scare. Oh, good, no jump scare. Wow, Wardy's locked in tonight, baby. We didn't even have that error there. Oh, you know we're feeling good. We're on a 7-game heater right now. How can you not be feeling electric? We got my man Huge. How we doing with the Mets membership? Thank you so much for that, my friend. If that's short for Eugene, thank you so much. If it's short for something else, I hope I didn't offend you. Thank you so much for chopping in and for that membership. We're happy to have you join the community of roughly 200 members now on the platform. Thomas with a $5 holla. Thank you so much for that, Thomas. Diaz is a leap of plays with his food. Oh, he always does. Diaz actually loves the pressure. I think we've all learned that obviously this season. Imagine thinking that Edwin Diaz needs a guy to actually be pressing him a little bit in the sense of having a leadoff walk or giving up a double there with less than 2 outs. Diaz loves the pressure. He absolutely thrives in these pressure cooker situations this season, and we saw that yet again with Edwin absolutely getting out of his own mess. Bases loaded, 1 away, not a problem for Edwin Sugar Diaz, one of the best closers in donation. I apologize, everybody, for the audio hiccup that we just had there. I'm going to make sure that hopefully that doesn't happen again. But guys, how are we feeling right now? What is the temperature check as a Mets fan right now after you just saw your Metsies win now a whopping 7 consecutive ball games? As I said, the Mets are feeling really, really good right now. And as we take a look at the current playoff outlook in the standings, everybody, the New York Mets are the 2nd best team in all of the National League. They're only trailing the Chicago Cubs for number 1. And if I'm not mistaken, the Mets are only 2 games shy of the best record in all Major League Baseball currently. We look at the Chicago Cubs there and the Milwaukee Brewers. They're tied still for first place. That's why they're in the wild card spots as well. You see the Philadelphia Phillies at 60-45. Thankfully, they're at least a full game, if not more, behind the Mets right now. The Padres at 57-49, who the Mets have next now on the list in this West Coast trip. The Cincinnati Reds at 56-50. The San Francisco Giants now just 2 games above 500. Let's bury this Giants team. Let's nail them in the coffin. And let's continue that by taking game 1 on August 1st on the official Wardy Day against these same Giants. The Cardinals at 54-53. They're officially in sell mode. The Mets are in the market for Ryan Helsley. No, I'm not joking. We did a video on that banged earlier today, so make sure to check it out should you guys have interest. And when I tell you guys that we have a video that is going to absolutely bang tomorrow on the platform regarding more trade talks and other things, that is an understatement, everybody. The rumor mill is through the effing roof. always, but I really want this, and I realized my mic cut out for a second. I apologize for that, but I really want to emphasize tonight, folks, that not only are we going to break down what was fantastic in this series sweep of a victory for the Mets by a final score of 5-3, but before we wrap up the show, I'm going to give you guys an inside look a little bit as to what you can expect for tomorrow's content, and ultimately what is happening to a certain degree there in the trade news and rumor front. We're going to hash on it all, and in case you guys missed it, that's because it's exclusively for our live viewers that catch it towards the end of the live show. I'm going to cut it out after the fact, so if you guys are watching in replay, I apologize, but the good news is I'm still going to be dropping the content for you guys to make sure that you can check out Manana. We have big discussions to be had. Let me get to a couple more donations, everybody, and then we will go on from there. Dave with a $5 holla, thank you so much for that. I would definitely use Vientos as a trade chip. Yeah, there's a lot of hot debates going on with Swaggy V right now, and I'll just ask you guys the following, and you can relay it as follows right now, everybody. Are you for or against a potential Mark Vientos trade? And that's what it was going to take to potentially have a deal happen for, I don't know, a Luis Robert, something that many of you guys know very well, obviously. Let me know your thoughts on if you're for or against that down below. Personally, I don't want to see Mark be dealt, but I do have faith in David Stearns and this Mets front office. Whatever they say goes, and obviously I'm going to have to deal with that as a fan, but I feel like it's more inevitable by the second that the Mets trade one of these core four infielders between Vientos, Beatty, Acuna, and the oh-so stud. Oh my goodness gracious, were you on fire, Ronnie Mauricio, tonight? We got to talk more about Ronnie. Dave, thank you for the donation. Tomas with the $2 holla. I want that jingle for my New York Mets jog playlist. I love that. If I get a chance to actually have that public for you guys, I will certainly make that happen. I would just say screen record the jingle when I play it. In the meantime, add that in your playlist and have that puppy on loop for 8 hours. You'll go bananas, but you'll be locked in and you'll be ready for the next post game. Miggy with a $5 holla states the following: how come McNeil doesn't start every day at center? Because the Mets know that they can have potentially wearing McNeil out a bit more in center. That is why the increased likelihood is there of the Mets actually adding a center field bat. The reason why the Mets want to do that is that they want Jeff more at second base than center field. Jeff has been proficient there in center, but they do have concerns on not only potential injury risk, but also just him getting a bit burned out by playing out of his typical position, more range than usual, and obviously Jeff isn't getting any younger either. So I think for that reason alone, everybody, those are the factors behind. I mean, Mark Vientos didn't even get the start today when Mark absolutely raked big time yesterday and wasn't even in the lineup against a southpaw, which caused a lot more trade speculation, understandably so. Vientos was out of the lineup, Ronnie Mauricio was in, and Ronnie Mauricio now just made things so much more difficult for the Mets. They're really going to consider trading a guy like Ronnie by this year's deadline. Do I want to see Ronnie Mauricio be traded? No, of course not. No one wants to see Ronnie Mauricio be traded. If you want Ronnie Mauricio to be traded, I think it has more to do on what the Mets would be getting in return than actually just giving up the player. Because we all see the raw tools, we all see the ability. What did Ronnie Mauricio do tonight? He went out and he balled out. That, my friends, is what Ronnie Mauricio did. We are going to expand more on Ronnie here a little bit later on the show, folks, but let's just rehash again the brilliance that was him. Let's not forget on how he got here with Ronnie, especially because he was the talk of the town in this matchup, and I do not want to waste any time breaking down his brilliance as well as everything else that transpired in this ball game. So if you guys haven't already, please make sure to continue hitting that like and subscribe button on your way. And if you have comments, questions, and concerns for your guy Wardy to answer, I will happily oblige and try to answer as many as I can before the end of the live show, everybody. Help us get to our first short-term goal of 350 likes to our roughly 800 concurrent viewers. To everyone that's watching this on replay, if you guys could help this show get to north of 500 plus likes, it'd be greatly appreciated. If not, no worries. Maybe I'm being greedy and that's fine, but it's a great way to support the platform. Comment, hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, join the largest Mets community here on YouTube, and thank you guys kindly for doing exactly that. Roberto Tito with the $5 holla. Now that Mauricio's coming into his own, I say that trade Vientos for a reliever, and that would be, say, a great flamethrower from St. Louis and Ryan Helsley. Now, here's the thing. I think the Mets can make a trade happen with the Cardinals for Ryan Helsley without giving up Mark Vientos. Maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but I think if you are the St. Louis Cardinals especially, I'm not exactly sure how much benefit they're going to get out of getting another inconsistent player there that profiles best at DH versus the infield. I think the Cardinals already have a couple guys to choose from in that category to a degree, and I'm not exactly sure how much Vientos moves the needle for them or how much the Mets even have interest in trading away a guy like Mark, let alone for a rental reliever. I mean, that's not something that I love the idea of personally as much as I like Helsley. And how we doing? Great member of 27 months. Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets indeed, baby. Seth Lugo was in fact extended by the Kansas City Royals. He's not going to be traded at this year's deadline. That's correct, Dave. Thank you so much for the $2 holla. SR says Mets need 3 Sotos. We need one more, right? It's been fun with the Sotos, right, Greg? Gregory Soto made his Mets debut tonight, but he looked like he didn't skip a beat whatsoever, and the proof was in the pudding. As Gregory Soto came in, he balled out, he did his job, and that has us all feeling electric, guys. Let's break down this ball game, folks, but before we do, make sure you check out our great friends at SeatGeek for 10% off your next ticket purchase, in case you guys haven't already. Whether it's going to be for Mets tickets, concert show tickets, comedy show tickets, you name it, SeatGeek, our amazing sponsor on the platform for the entirety of the MLB season, has you covered. Simply utilize our promo code WARDY10, link down below, the way that so many amazing Mets fans already have this season. Thank you guys kindly for that, as well as hearing from our amazing sponsor today, Moomoo, the official trading platform of the New York Mets. Hey Mets fans, if you love diving deep into the numbers like WAR or ERA, then you absolutely are going to love what today's video sponsor Moomoo brings to your investing game. Think Moneyball, but this time for your portfolio. I'm beyond excited to share that Moomoo, the proud trading platform of the New York Mets, is here to level up your investing. Moomoo is a global trading platform currently serving over 25 million users in markets like the United States, Canada, Singapore, and Japan. Whether you're just starting out or if you're a more seasoned trader, Moomoo's app and desktop platform offers commission-free trading on stocks, ETFs, and options, no contract fees either. So plus, you get premium tools, guys, whether it's going to be the institutional grade analytics, Morningstar research, and analyst ratings, all free for funded users. And right now, Moomoo is doubling down for Mets fans. Sign up through my exclusive link down below, make a qualifying deposit, and get up to, yes, 60 free stocks, plus not one but two Mets suite tickets. Not to mention, Moomoo customers can get free tickets to all Monday home games at Citi Field, and who knows, you may even see me at a game. And with zero commissions and zero contract fees on stock and ETF options, you keep more of your wins. Are you guys ready to trade smarter? Download Moomoo now and swing for the financial fences. And shout out once more to Moomoo for being an amazing sponsor here on the platform. Alrighty, folks, let's get right back into this. And again, the temperature check. That's the next question I have for you guys. One, how are you feeling? And two, how impressed were you with Roddy Mauricio tonight? Because if you guys are anything like me, then you were not only jaw-dropped by Roddy Mauricio turning on that baseball, but furthermore, you were so amped up on what Roddy can continue to do with this Mets team. Because tonight's show, we're going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to, one, answer this donation, and then secondly, we're going to actually start the show by talking about the best part of this ball game, and then we're going to rapid fire and break it more down and get into more of those details, because I really don't want to waste a lot of time in this one before I talk at great length about Roddy Mauricio and his brilliance in this matchup. But Nick, as we see here, Nick, thank you so much for the $5 donation. He says, every time I go to a Mets game, they go on a heater. LFGM will be there Friday. I watch you every day. Love the content. Nick, so happy to hear that you will be there on Friday. Cannot wait to hang out with you and all you other amazing Mets fans there at Wardy Day. Linked in the chat and the description down below for you guys to check out should you have interest in attending a game with your guy Wardy there August 1st against the Giants, guys. But folks, let's just get right to this. Let's talk about the star of the show, and let's talk about the brilliance that was Roddy Mauricio, guys. A 4-for-4 game for Roddy. Like, are you kidding me right now? It's one thing to be Roddy Mauricio and say giving us a 1-for-4, 1-for-5 night with a defensive blunder. It's another for Roddy Mauricio to be the absolute stud that we were all hoping and praying for to finally see a breakout. And for Roddy to do this, mind you, into the Covey Cove there that we see in right, as well as the fact that Roddy Mauricio hitting in a ballpark that is not easy to hit whatsoever. This lefty bat ate up pitches for breakfast the entire ball game. And mind you, he didn't just do this against any type of pitcher. He was doing this against some rock solid pitchers, including Randy Rodriguez, who is one of the best relievers that we see out of the National League so far this season. Roddy ate his ass up for breakfast like it was nothing. And when we talk about how much Roddy smoked baseballs today, everybody, let me enlighten you as to just how absurd this man was. Because it wasn't just against one pitcher that he absolutely raked. It was against pretty much everybody. Roddy Mauricio, when he hit it, he hit his bomb that just stayed fair to the right side in this ball game that gave the Mets the lead at the time. Was 105 off the bat. We also saw Roddy rip a double there for 102 off the bat off of Spencer Bivens. And then we saw another Roddy Mauricio double there that was right around 99 miles per hour. Every single baseball that Roddy Mauricio smoked tonight was 95 or more. Even his single was 95 that we saw in this one. What didn't Roddy Mauricio do in this ball ball game? That is a greater question you have to ask yourself if you're a Mets fan. And that's why now my question to each and every one of you guys is, after seeing Ronnie Mauricio go out and dominate and kind of single-handedly carry the weight for the Mets on the offensive end today, do you feel comfortable in saying that Ronnie Mauricio should be here to stay here post-trade deadline? Or is this a man that you think should be dealt, especially with his trade numbers quickly increasing in value? Ronnie Mauricio's OPS jumped 100 points tonight. No, that really is not an exaggeration. He entered this game with a sub 700 OPS. He finished the game with a 761 OPS. He's at a 252 average. He had one bomb, not one, but two doubles, including a fantastic one there that we saw in the ninth inning that led to an insurance run scored. The fantastic ability by Ronnie Mauricio, including what was a heads-up play at the hot corner earlier today. I understand that he himself still has some struggles when it comes to base running and defensively. He's a very raw tool talent. We know that in the case of Ronnie Mauricio. But we also know that Ronnie Mauricio is a man that absolutely has so much raw potential and really feels like a player that the Mets do not give up on too soon, could blossom into something special for this club. You know, Ronnie's defense needs work. His base running is not good. So here's the thing about his base running. Ronnie's fast. He can steal your 20, 30 bags when he's right, but it's all about his situational awareness with his base running. He has struggled a little bit, that we've seen a little bit with the base running IQ. As long as Ronnie properly develops the way that we hope and expect and continue to see as Mets fans, this really feels like the Mets are finally starting to get something special here in Ronnie Mauricio. So guys, in my humble opinion, and I know that this goes beyond just tonight's game, this is how I felt for a bit now, I would not be in favor of trading Ronnie Mauricio. And in order, if you're asking for my opinion of guys that I would be comfortable trading versus not trading, most comfortable would be Luis Angel Acuna. Nothing personal against Acuna at all. He just has such a limited fit with this team right now, and that's why it would make sense to part ways with him. After Luis Angel Acuna, I would probably have, and this is really, really tough, this is where things get very debatey, it could really be any Mauricio, Beatty, Vientos. I'm not heavily inclined to love one guy more than the other out of those three, and here's why. Ronnie Mauricio is finally starting to blossom, but we know that we still need to see a lot more out of him and see how he does with his development. What I love about Ronnie and why I do not want to give up on him is that what he did when he first broke out with the Mets in 2023 in the second half is what we're seeing more of now. It's the comfortability at the major league level as a guy who's handling the pressure and the expectation without a problem. It's a man that's handling the pressure that comes with New York like he's a star of the show. I love that about Ronnie Mauricio. Brett Beatty, what do I love about Beatty? I love Beatty's defensive versatility. I love the fact that Beatty is without question the most guaranteed thing defensively that the Mets have in their infield outside of Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil to a degree, and when at his best, Pete Alonso. Beatty can command the hot corner better than anyone else on any given day in this Mets lineup, and we all know that. Second base, he plays as a backup, and he's perfectly fine there as well. But Brett Beatty's bat has also really started to turn up for the better that we've seen over the past couple of months. And then Mark Vientos. Mark, you're banking more on what he did last season, as well as the flashes of brilliance he's had so far this year, including what has been a rock-solid post-All-Star break. Vientos helped carry the Mets team to victory yesterday that we saw in their series victory against the Giants. But, Mark, what does he lack versus pretty much all these other players? It's other dimensions of his game. And that's exactly why, if Vientos is dealt, I do not want to see it happen, but these are the factors as to why it would be happening. It would be happening because of the fact that, unlike Luis Angel Acuna, Brett Beatty, and Ronnie Mauricio, Mark Vientos is unfortunately a one-dimensional player. He is not a good base runner. He is without question one of the slowest players in all of the National League. And on top of it all, he is a defensive liability. And that has kind of been the case with him since he made his MLB debut. He was thankfully proficient enough last season, the regular season, to compensate with his great offense, where he didn't stick out like a sore thumb. But now, since then, Mark has not been nearly consistent in either area when there's too many infield options for the Mets to consider to give enough leeway to someone like him. It's unfortunate because obviously it's a sophomore slump, dealing with the little nagging injuries they had as well, and dealing with adjustments that pitchers have made. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself as a Mets fan, and David Stearns in this front office, what are you going to do? Because you don't have any options left with Vientos, nor are you guys going to roll out these same four infielders this time next season. There's not a chance in hell that all of them are still on this roster a year from now. And I would even argue that there is a slim chance that the Mets have that four infield configuration rotation of those 4 batters here post-trade deadline. I will be very surprised if that is the case. Not because I dislike any of those guys, but just because of what I just relayed the following to each and every one of you. But guys, let's get into breaking down the brilliance that was this ball game. The key standouts about it, because not only did the Mets have themselves a huge victory securing this series sweep here against the San Francisco Giants, but the Mets are really doing something special, and they're showcasing that both on the road and at home. It's been one thing when the Mets have been on the heaters so far this season, when they've been dominating at home, but on the road, we know that has been a problem for this Mets team, plenty, including against lesser clubs as well, where they're just not performing nearly to their level whatsoever. Not the case right now. They went into San Fran and they handled the Giants as good as any, and to eliminate the Giants offense completely, where they could not get a single hit with runners in scoring position, that in my opinion was one of the more impressive aspects about this series victory and sweep as a whole. But hitting wise for the Mets, when it came with runners in scoring position, the Mets continued to struggle in that category, everybody. The Mets were a whopping 2 for 13 with runners in scoring position today. So what was the commonality in this 3-game set? Even though the Mets won every single ball game, they did not have their sexiest game whatsoever. They did not play nearly as well as they otherwise could have, but it's the fact that they did what they need to do, and the pitching kept them in every single ball game. This bullpen was nothing short of nails, and Kodai Senga went another kind of 5 and dive or less for this Mets team. Back-to-back outings where Kodai Senga has allowed 3 earned runs or more. Very uncharacteristic for him, but in both outings where Kodai Senga was not giving you length nor the quality that you're hoping for, you get made up for it and then some by this clutch offense that came in big time thanks to Mauricio and a man who I haven't talked about at all yet, and the one and only Juan Soto. Juan just casually hit an oppo bomb, but I feel like that's almost an afterthought because all we can do is yap about Mr. Ronnie. But as we saw there in the first inning, everybody, the Mets got nothing going initially. It was a 1-2-3 start there for the Giants. Then we saw in the bottom of the first, it was a 1-out walk for Heliot Ramos, but that's all she wrote, because afterwards we would see some nice quick outs there by Mr. Kodai Senga, and he gets out of that inning unscathed. In the second inning, we would see there with 2 outs, Starling Marte getting the DH start yet again, and Starling Marte, guys, as I told you plenty, buddy bats 280 in his sleep, and what did he do? He went out and did exactly that again, everybody. Marte gets on with a 2-out single. Beatty unfortunately struck out, but it's great to see how red hot a star-studded Starling Marte bat has been, because there are multiple teams that like Marte, and not that I want to see Marte traded, everybody, but in the world where the Mets added a quality outfielder that would push a guy like Vientos more to DH if they did not trade Vientos, that would have a guy like Beatty play the hot corner every day, that would also allow McNeil to get more reps at second, or, and this is actually, the more that I say this, I don't really know now, because when Mauricio playing so well, you can't forget about where you're going to put Ronnie, so how much playing time is Ronnie going to get splitting between himself and Beatty? This is a good question you have to ponder as a fan. Now, the more that I think about it, I really don't know what is going to be the best configuration for them right now, because, again, the Mets have an abundance. They have a lot of guys to choose from right now. And Mo, I'm absolutely nuts. I'm high-flying talking about my Mets on every single night basis to north of 1,000 live concurrent viewers right now, because we're all amped up and feeling electric about our Metsies winning 7 straight games. I'm not going to stop anything, you schmuck, but if you want to continue to chime in, you might as well make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already, or get your little took us out of here, because we got plenty others that can keep yapping while they're behind closed doors when they have been sent to the shadow realm, if you know what I know. What I also mean is the timeout button, the block button. Why? Because Wardy doesn't care. That's why. As we continue on, everybody, in the bottom of the second, we would see there, there you go. Love you, Ron. Not Ron, Mo, I apologize. As we get on to the bottom of the second inning, everybody, Matty Chapman, we would see call down strikes. Why? Because great placement yet again by Kodai Senga. We got into this with Mike Yastrzemski there, and Mike, what does he do? He gets on there with a 1-out walk after the quick out there and Matt Chapman. So there's 1 on, and then there's 1 away for Dominic Smith, the former Met now phone. What does Dom do? He rips himself a single to have runners on the corners, less than 2 outs, and then you have Mr. Patrick Bailey, everybody, who would strike out swinging. And why does Patrick Bailey strike out swinging today? Well, he strikes out swinging for the same reason why everyone strikes out swinging against Kodai Senga, and that is one of the best put-out pitches in Major League Baseball, and the nasty ghost fork. After that, we would see Mr. Brett Wisely. He would strike out on a foul tip, and what pitch would he strike out on the foul tip? You guessed it, the ghost fork yet again. As we continue on, everybody, to the third inning, the top of the third, Francisco Alvarez leads things off with a hard-hit single. Alvy continues to have far more quality at-bats than we've seen since coming back from his little minor league stint, even though he did have a brutal strikeout towards the end of this ball game, his second to last at-bat, I believe. He just struck out on 99 away. It wasn't even close. I understood it was a hard pitch to see, but but Alvarez was overmatched there. Not in this at-bat, however, as he rips 100 off the bat to put a runner on there to lead off in the third inning. Then Mauricio comes in, and Ronnie says, I want to get in on the hit parade. And Ronnie gets on with a single himself. Mets have runners at first and second. No way for WardyNYM. And what does WardyNYM do? Unfortunately, Nimmo grounds into a force out. Not a double play, which is good. Runners have the corners one away, but the double play ball is still intact. What happens? Francisco Lindor's ground out is what happens, and that gives the Mets an early 1-0 lead in this ball game. Afterwards, Juan Soto, he has a runner in scoring position, and in typical Juan Soto fashion, begin a ball game. Not a slight on Juan, it's just a fact. His first and second at-bats of the ball game usually aren't great. We've seen this trend throughout the course of the season, especially with runners on. He would strike out there that we'd see he'd be called out in strikes, and that does it for the inning, but not before the Mets are now up 1-0. As we get to the bottom of the third, Jung-Hoo Lee gets on with a leadoff walk. Then Heliot Ramos thankfully grounds into a force out. Devers got nothing going, as it was a great fly out there induced by Kodai Senga, and then Willy Adames would reach there that we would see on fielder's choice, but it wouldn't matter because a horrendous base running blunder by Heliot Ramos between second and third base allows Mauricio to get back to third and make the tag, and that does it there for the inning. Kodai Senga gets out of the inning unscathed as we head to the fourth. And in the fourth, after Alonso strikes out swinging, Jeff McNeil, more like Jeff McDoubles, Jeff rips one into the gap, what would have been a home run in basically every single ballpark, but sadly, the way that you know how Jung-Hoo Lee just missed a home run yesterday when that would have been a home run in every other ballpark in Major League Baseball outside of Oracle, well, the same thing pretty much happened to McNeil today as he scorched a double off the wall. Mind you, this was 408 feet, 88 miles per hour, 408. Actually, I'm an idiot. What the hell am I saying? Please disregard what I just said there on the 408 feet front. I don't know what I was smoking. 296 was the feet there on that one. Why did I think it was 408 feet? Did I get bamboo? I had to have been, because that wouldn't have made any other sense otherwise. Hold on. Let me just look. It was his second. Okay, that makes sense. I was getting so tripped up. I'm like, I know for certain he had a double today that should have been a home run. And it wasn't this one. It was his next one. So I apologize. Jeff rips his first double there of the ball game. 9th of the season, mind you. Starling Marte then gets on there that we would see with a walk. So there's 2 on, less than 2 away for Brett Beatty. And what does Beatty do, everybody? He grounds into there, yet the double play. And yes, Mo, that's how it goes. I'm glad he figured it out by now. As we get to the bottom of the fourth inning, we would see Matt Chapman blast his 15th home run of the year, and that is all thanks to Kodai Senga, unfortunately serving up a meatball for breakfast, everybody, as Senga throws the cutter right down the pipe, 89. What do you expect to happen? What about Cease and Suarez for Marte and Vientos? That is what a take, everybody. BornaNYM in the chat, guys. I definitely want to know how you guys are feeling right now. Borna, who is a big Padres fan, who's going to be locked in the Padres losing 2 out of their next 3 games in Slam Diego against these Mets, he has a great question. What about Dylan Cease and Mr. Suarez, the reliever, for Mark Vientos and Starling Marte via trade? I feel like that's a lot. You know what I mean? That's getting some key pitching assets, but in return, you're giving up a red-hot Marte as well as a Vientos, who we know obviously can thrive until it's multiple years of control. Do you really want to do that for a rental Cease as well as what you're getting there in Suarez, who's had an up-down season? That is a very interesting question that I'm going to have you guys answer instead of me right now, because I'm going to take a little bit to let that marinate and ponder before I actually have an answer, because I genuinely don't have much of one right now, because I was not expecting to see that trade proposal in the chat. Let's see this. Borna 100% just wants to get rid of Cease. If you ask most Padres fans, they want to get rid of Cease. But the reason why they want to get rid of Cease is more so on just Cease's lack of proper fit with the team than it is about necessarily how he would perform elsewhere, right? And I think, Dylan, something that we're noticing this year is that another year with a lot of trade rumors, another year with uncertainty. I'm not all that shocked that Dylan Cease isn't as comfortable as what he was in the regular season last year, even though when you look at all of his metrics, Dylan Cease is actually the most unlucky pitcher in Major League Baseball this season. That's not an exaggeration. There is no pitcher that has a greater differential from their baseline ERA to their SI ERA than Dylan Cease of the San Diego Padres. Coming in second is Zach Gallen of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Again, another potential trade candidate as a rental starter for this Mets team. Some things to ponder for sure, but there's pros that come with Dylan a lot and the cons that come with the fact that one, he's a rental, and two, the assets that you'd have to give up to get him are obviously going to be decent. But I want to know all your thoughts about that in the chat, everybody. Is that where Matt Chapman initially tied that ball game there with that bomb, his 15th of the year on the cutter. Meatball, which was a cutter. Then we see Dominic Smith there with a 1-out walk. Afterwards, Patrick Bailey would fly out, and then after a wild pitch by Kodai Senga, which allowed Dom Smith to get into second base clean, Brett Wisely would get on with a walk. So you got runners at first and second with two-way for Jung-Hoo Lee. And what does Jung-Hoo Lee do, everybody? He pops out to end the inning. We then get, folks, to the top of the fifth. And what happens? Francisco Alvarez, another day, another scorching extra base hit. This time, not a triple, but we're going to settle with a double for Alvarez. His fifth of the season, setting up Ronnie Mauricio. And what does Ronnie do? He smokes a baseball for his fifth double of the season, everybody. That makes it 2-1 New York Mets right away. Ronnie, for the first of multiple times in this ball game, would give the Mets the one-run lead, if not more. Let's see. Wardy, how do you feel about calling up Jet and trying him in center field? I don't see a world where the Mets are going to go out of their way to call up Jet Williams when he hasn't even sniffed Syracuse, but wouldn't consider Drew Gilbert. Not a chance in hell that happens. The Mets absolutely would consider Drew Gilbert every day of the week before even really going the lengths of the way to say, okay, let's consider Jet Williams. I like Jet a lot, but the fact that he has not been here, obviously, at the AAA level, and the fact that the Mets are just really starting to pay attention to Drew is telling that a guy like Williams hitting the major league level this year, it probably is not going to be happening. That is what I have to say about that. But as we continue on in here, everybody, Francisco Lindor, we would see, would reach there on the fielder's choice, and then we would see, unfortunately, Ronnie Mauricio would be out at home. That was, again, a great relay there that we saw by Willie Adames and Patrick Bailey. Very unfortunate to see that, so that gets the force out there at home, everybody, but the Mets still had the lead at that point, 2-1. Juan Soto, then we would see pop out, and this is where Ronnie Mauricio's, again, lack of great base running will kick in at times. It's not only him, it's also getting the okay there, obviously, from third base, but the same applies. As long as Ronnie can have himself a proper IQ there when it comes to base running a bit more, because we know how fast he is. We know how uber athletic the kid is. Now, by putting all these tools together, not only for the remainder of this season, but as we head into 2026, should he not be traded, this is a piece that can certainly be something chill, certainly something, not chill, but really impressive for this Mets team going forward. And the reason why I said chill in the chat is because Thomas just spammed the word chill, and I read that, and when you read something, and that's kind of the reaction he has, so that's what we got, everybody. As we continue on, everybody, and White Mike, great member of the chat, Rebecca Ellen, how are you? Steve Long, great member as always. All you guys, Alvin, Rebecca going in here. Nick Metz, how are you? Wardy, do you think Beatty for Brian Abreu is realistic? Oh, that's an interesting take. I know you're bringing up Abreu because of the rumblings going on with this club right now. As we talk more, though, on Abreu, I'm curious as if the Mets are going to go there for someone like him. If you're going to do a deal with Houston, you'd imagine that's going to be more for a reliever than anything else. It's interesting. I'll have to look more as to what's happening, obviously, with Abreu and his season. But I don't hate the idea of landing someone like him. It really just is a matter of what do you have to give to get him, because obviously the Astros right now are in the market for some Mets young players, and we're going to expand more of that in content tomorrow, because in the meantime, we're just trying to figure out exactly what players, to what degree, and what exactly could the Mets get in return for a potential either win-win trade or something along those lines. As we continue on, though, everybody, here in the live show, as the Mets win this one by a final score of 5-3, hit that like and subscribe on your way out. Really does mean a lot. And Sammy in the chat is heading to Wardy Day, so they absolutely get the shout out. Thank you so much. Now, with your guy Wardy there at Wardy Day, and apologies if the link ticket still available in the description in the live show, as well as pinned in the live chat for you guys to check out at the top of the chat. Less than 10 tickets available should you guys have interest, and thank you guys kindly for that. As we continue on from here, everybody, in the bottom of the fifth inning, we would see there Willie Adames rips himself a 2-out single. And after Willie rips his 2-out single, we see Matt Chapman rip his 16th home run of the year, everybody. And just like that, Matty Chapman, how does he rip the bomb off of Kodai Senga? It's kind of another meatball. It's 93 inside, which is not going to do it. This is where Kodai Senga, and I love Kodai, but when Kodai isn't walking everybody and their mother, he's giving up meatballs for breakfast. And unfortunately, this is kind of the category we found ourselves in. Byron Buxton is not being traded, so there's no reason to even get into that conversation. Huge thank you so much for upgrading your membership to the Captain membership. That really does mean a lot, my friend. Really, really does. Thank you kindly for that. Ryan Clifford has been amazing. Carson Benj has been amazing on the prospect front as well. Trust me, we know all about that in the chat, everybody. Thank you guys so much for that. Dave with the $2 holla. Vientos and Acuna for Cruz and Bednar. Ooh, Vientos and Acuna for O'Neal Cruz and David Bednar. See, if I'm the Pirates, I feel like I would, that's tough. I feel like I would still want more there. I feel like I would still want more because Vientos is still too one-dimensional of a player. And Acuna is very good, but I don't know how much his bat is going to propel to be more of a true contact hitter at the major league level. Great defense. We know that with Acuna, among other things. That is a really interesting proposal by Dave in the chat. Let me know your thoughts about that to everyone watching live in the comments down below. Vientos and Luis Angel Acuna for O'Neal Cruz and David Bednar. Is that a trade you would consider if you're the Mets, or is that something that you wouldn't even bother to sniff? I'm curious your stances there. D-Mac with the $2 holla. Thank you, D-Mac. He states the following. How about Willie Castro from the Twins for center field? You know, D-Mac, if I'm being honest, if the Mets trade for an outfielder from the Minnesota Twins, it's far more likely right now that's going to be a Harrison Bader reunion than I think it will be a Willie Castro. I know fans don't love the idea of that, but that's a reality. Bader's having a very good year. The Dodgers like him a lot among other teams. Do not be shocked if Bader actually came back to Queens. I obviously think that a guy like Luis Robert is more likely to happen between the two, but we also don't know exactly how much of a bidding war there's going to be for Robert, if at all, as well as the other center field options out there right now. So that is what I'll have to say about that, because we got more of this ball game to break down, everybody. As initially, the Giants took a 3-2 lead after back-to-back at-bats where Mr. Matt Chapman rips himself a ding-dong. And as we then get to the 6th inning, Jeff McNeil did the double that I meant to say earlier, that I'm saying now rather from earlier, and that was the 408-foot bomb that should have been a bomb, but was a double off the wall there, right in that perfect gap there at Oracle Park that we saw to have McNeil more like McDoubles there at second base with only one away. And after Jeff McNeil got on there, we would see a Brett Beatty 2-out walk, and that's all she wrote, as unfortunately Alvarez struck out on a foul tip and what was his worst at-bat of the day, you could rightfully argue. In the bottom of the 6th, everybody, we saw the Giants went down in order after Jose Butto came in and got the job done 1-2-3. Fantastic job by Jose Butto and this Mets bullpen today. But expand more on Kodai Senga, everybody. Let's get into a little bit more on Kodai, his arsenal, what was working versus what wasn't working today. Because Kodai Senga's final line is 5 innings of 4 hit, 3 earned run, 5 walk, 3 strikeout balls. Senga is now up to a 2 flat ERA on the season, and he threw the entire kitchen sink tonight. He threw 7 pitches today, everybody. He had the 4-seam fastball that he threw 37% of the time, topped out 96.5, sat right around 95. The Ghost Fork got 32% of the arsenal. He topped out 85, sat right around 83. The Cutter at 12% of the arsenal, topped out 91, sat right around 89. The Sinker at 9% of the arsenal, topped out 90, sat right around 88. The Sweeper there at 8% of the arsenal, topped out 80, sat right around 79. The Slider at 2% of the arsenal, topped out 81 and sat right around 80. And the Curveball at just 1% of the arsenal, topped out 71 and sat right around there, because that's the only pitch that he threw of said curveball. So Kodai Senga, guys, again, the walk rates were through the roof, was giving up some hard contact on those meatballs of home runs. I am going to be giving Kodai Senga's outing today a 5-inning, 3 earned run outing. He's going to be getting a 5 out of 10 from your guy Wardy. I really can't go much higher than that for him. Maybe I'll consider 5.5 at most, but I'm going to go with a 5 out of 10. I didn't like how Kodai Senga pitched today. I don't think Kodai liked how he pitched today, and I think this was another day where Kodai did not have his best mechanics. I think he would probably tell you post-game, if he didn't already there with SNY, the media, exactly that. You know, it's not really much of a concern on the physical from the health front of Kodai Senga as it is he just finds himself getting in these little ruts sometimes, or it's more about how meticulous he is than anything else, missing on proper location and kind of overthinking things, because we know that Senga is a very big overthinker. When he's right, but when he's wrong, he's pretty damn wrong. So even on another Kodai Senga off night, he still gave the Mets a solid 5-inning outing, kept them in the ball game, and then obviously Jose Butto and the rest of this Mets bullpen absolutely was fantastic from there. And you know what, Mo? This is what happens when you just have to be a little pain in the ass the entire show, and you wonder why I interact with solely you. It's because you come in the chat to say who cares what he did. You are a troll, my friend, and that's why you get booted. And when you cry at home and say, oh, I wonder why he was just picking on me, why did this happen to me, it's because you can't shut your damn mouth when everyone else is clearly just enjoying the vibe of being a happy Mets fan, yet we have to have the party pooper. That's how it rolls, everybody. You see how easy that is to just be banished, gone into the abyss, and all it takes is by you just thinking that you need to be the center of attention when everyone here is trying to have the same focus of talking about Mets baseball. Not some schmuck trying to come in and say, oh, why do we care about how the guy did or didn't do? I don't know. It's almost like the entire reason why we have thousands of people watching this on a nightly basis, because they care about thoughts and analysis of the players that we so covet on a nightly basis, that we spend, I don't know, the vast majority of our life watching. I know I do. I've spent more time watching the Mets in my life the past 5 years since covering them than I've done anything else in my life. We care about these things just a little bit. at the very least. As we get on, though, let's get into this and let's reel back in. Again, I got to get on my little tangents from time to time. Let's get back into breaking down this ball game, everybody, and what we love so much about it. Because as we then get to the 7th inning, everybody, who continues the hit parade? It is of course, Mr. Roddy Mauricio. After a fantastic 1-2-3 outing by Jose Budo that we saw a half inning ago, Roddy Mauricio steps up big time. And what have I told you guys, everybody? What I've told you is that when the Mets are right, when they're rolling, they face deficits and they bounce right back a half inning to a full inning later. That has been their MO of their rally all season long. And I said that if the Mets are going to rally back in this ball game, they need to score a half inning to a full inning or so after that they lost the lead. And that's pretty much exactly what they did, everybody. Is after the Giants went up 3-2, we saw there in the 7th inning, because nothing happened in the 6th. So, yeah, I would say an inning and a half later. So still very close for the most part. The Mets would put up some runs. And it starts with Roddy Mauricio blasting his 5th home run of the season, everybody. Roddy with his 5th bomb that he absolutely smoked. That was huge. And that just stayed fair, mind you. Pulled into McCovey Cove there and right. Love to see it. Roddy's 5th bomb ties the ball game 3-3. Afterwards, there's 2 quick outs because Brandon Nimmo strikes out. Francisco Lindor strikes out. And then Juan Soto does what Juan Soto does. And he goes Apo Taco for a ding-dong. Cue the bell. Juan Soto with his 25th home run of the season there for number 22. And that puts the Mets up, we would see 4-3 in this ball game. After Juan Soto puts the Mets up 4-3, thankfully they would never look back from there. They would go on to win by a final score of 5-3. But that pitch to Juan Soto by Randy Rodriguez, this guy's supposed to be good. This guy's supposed to be one of the better relievers in all the National League. I'm sorry, I thought he was serving up batting practice. Between Roddy Mauricio kicking his ass and Juan Soto saying, oh, 98, 99 down the pipe, see ya. Out of all guys that you decided to throw in the zone, just a little bit outside to, you chose the best opposite field power hitter in Major League Baseball, arguably there, and Juan Soto. You know, sometimes you F around and you find out that was the case for Rodriguez and for the Giants here. The Mets go up 4-3, folks. We head to the bottom of the 7th. It's a 1-2-3 for who? For Gregory Soto. That's who, and I'm so excited to talk about Gregory Soto. If you guys don't understand how much I love Gregory Soto, let me enlighten you a bit more here. I apologize if the highlight bothers you, but I promise you'll get through it the same way that so many other fans in the show greatly appreciate. That's what I have to say about that. The highlights will continue to roll on. Just disregard them if they bother you for some reason. I promise we will get through this together. Gregory Soto got himself through this one big time in his first outing as a New York Met, everybody. And not only did Soto cruise for a 1-2-3 outing, but as we break down the arsenal, what did we like about Gregory? Mind you, the Mets got good outings from both their southpaws today, in Soto and Mr. Brooks Raley. It did come at the demise of the towering 6'6" lefty and Jose Castillo being DFA today. So if Castillo stays on the organization, you'd love to see it. If he goes elsewhere, Jose, thank you so much for your service. As we continue on, Gregory Soto had this sinker that he threw 53% of the time today, folks, and he topped out 98 and he sat 97. He was nasty. The slider at 33% of the arsenal, topped out 86 and was right around there at 84. He was fantastic. The sweeper at 13% of the arsenal, topped out 83 that we saw there, sat right around 83, and he was brilliant. I mean, Gregory Soto was as advertised, including what was a fantastic strikeout, not even on the sinker, mind you, when he's touching 98 today. No, it's on the sweeper, a sweeper that he has not thrown much at all this year. But as I told you guys, when you acquire a pitcher that has a sweeper, a sinker, a splitty, and or a slider, when you have any of those 4 S's, this Mets pitching lab wants to use you big time. And what are the Mets doing? They're going to get more usage out of that sweeper, I'm sure. They're going to get more usage out of the slider. I am excited to see what Gregory Soto can do in this Mets bullpen. So far, so good. Shout out Gregory. Welcome to Queens, baby. Right? At least in this case, it was San Fran, but you'll be back home there at Citi Field soon enough. And as we continue on in here, everybody, for this 5-3 victory, we would see in the 8th inning, Starling Marte with a 1-out single because Marte continues the hit parade for Mr. Marte Parte. And after Alvarez would ground out, that does it for the inning. We get to the bottom of the 8th. Willie Adames Garrett coming in the ball game. Matt Chapman, then we would see strike out. Yeah, Mike Yastrzemski strikes out. Gorgeous back-to-back strikeouts there for Reed Garrett. The Bulldog and Reed Garrett, but that does it for Reed's day. Brooks Raley comes in. I thought made sense, but unfortunately, Raley there, we would see the double switch. Why? Because Bob Melvin was paying attention. That's why. Instead of it being a Dominic Smith versus Brooks Raley lefty-lefty matchup, it is instead Wilmer Flores, another former Met this time, facing off against Raley. And who wins this round? It's Wilmer. Wilmer smacks himself a pinch hit single, and then it's all set up for Patrick Bailey. He's got 2 on, 2 away. All Bailey needs to do is poke a deep single, and they're right back in this ball game. Instead, he would find himself lining out right there to center, and that does it there for the end. As we get to the 9th inning, folks, here we see Mauricio. Ronnie said, "Oh, I'm sorry. You thought I was done? You thought I wasn't going to hit again? Think again, my friends." Mauricio rips his 2nd double of the day, his 3rd big hit of the game, and his 4th total, everybody. Ronnie rips his 6th double, and that would have a runner in scoring position for BrandonNYM, who, of course, is going to be smacking a baseball there for his 20th double of the season. Nimmo drives in Ronnie. That gives the Mets the insurance run they were looking for. A nice little cushion. 5-3 is the lead. We would see Juan Soto get intentionally walked, and then a Pete Alonso double play ends the 9th inning. But not before the Mets get that nice insurance run, getting a set then for the bottom of the 9th inning. And the bottom of the 9th inning, everybody, what happens? Jung-Hoo Lee with a 1-out walk is what happens on Edwin Diaz. Then we would see, folks, Heliot Ramos hit by the pitch. I mean, if we're going to call that a hit by pitch, we might as well call the other scenarios where literally air hits you and we're going to call it. I mean, I looked at that from multiple angles, but from what we saw at home, at least, I know I'm sounding like such an ass of a fan. It's the equivalent of when you're in the nosebleeds in the 500s yelling at the ump saying, "What are you, blind, Helen Keller?" That was kind of the reaction that was happening with that hit by pitch. It didn't seem like it was one, but it was one at the end of the day. So you got runners at 1st and 2nd with 1 away. Then you see Rafael Devers, big matchup against Edwin. Who wins this matchup? Devers does. He gets on with a walk. It's bases loaded. It's 1 away. The tying runs, the game-winning runs are all in place for the San Francisco Giants. All they knew how to hit an effing baseball with runners in scoring position. Great news for the Mets. They're even worse than the Mets when it comes to hitting with runners on the series. Willie Adames strikes out because, of course, he does. Matty Chapman with 2 big bombs on the day. Can Chapman clutch up again? No, he cannot. He strikes out Sweeney. 99 inside. Sit your ass down. Edwin Diaz gets the job done, and this Mets bullpen gets the job done as well, everybody. They go on to win by a final score, again, of 5-3. And this bullpen, guys, Edwin Diaz works out of the jam for the bullpen and give us 4 strong innings of work today. And this one, the only bad bullpen out, and it wasn't even bad, it was just the early adversity that Edwin Diaz faced, but easily, without question, this bullpen is getting a smack dab, rock solid 8 out of 10 from your guy Wardy. You could even argue 8.5 for sure, that range. Maybe you even want to go higher. Maybe I'm being too conservative here. I don't know. I think it's just the fact that Diaz made things as sweaty as he did in the 9th inning, but at the same time, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. So whether it's a grade of an 8, a 9, whatever you have on the bullpen front, please feel free to relay in the live chat and the comments down below, everybody. Edwin Diaz was what he needed to be. Wasn't sexy, but was when he needed to most towards the end of that matchup. Brooks Raley, fantastic with that 1 out. That's all he needed there. Gregory Soto, happy to have you, baby. Things you love to see. A lot of things I'm loving from this Mets pitching staff right now. And this, yet again, everybody, as a surprise absolutely nobody, is what's helping carry. It's not just the Mets timely hitting. It's the Mets getting quality production from their bullpen and their rotation. Most certainly their bullpen right now. It is carrying big time. And now you mean to tell me that the Mets are still going to add more to their bullpen? Yeah, that gets me pretty damn excited. Because we know that if you add a Ryan Helsley, a true high leverage arm, someone along those lines there to pair with Edwin Diaz, as well as potentially one more piece, then the Ryan Staniks, the Huascar Brosmans, the Jose Budos, these guys get put in less high leverage. Then you think of Reed Garrett not being needing to be utilized every single day for the most part. Having that stability will be so vital for this bullpen, and that is what we're going to hope to see become a reality, everybody. Again, folks, if you haven't, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on your way in as we're breaking down the latest in Mets land, as the Mets take this one by a final score of 5-3. But going on from the bullpen, let's talk a bit more on the hitting, because on the hitting end, everybody, this is what we saw from this Mets offense. As I relayed earlier, they did go only 2 for 13 with the runners in scoring position, but they were still fantastic nonetheless on getting the job done, putting the ball in play. Mind you, the Mets still had 12 hits in this ball game. They doubled the amount of hits of the Giants, 12-6 as a matter of fact, and now the Mets are 62-44 on the year. 8 more wins on the season than the San Francisco Giants currently. BrandonNYM, 1 for 5 with the RBI, a 261 average and a 787 OPS. Francisco Lindor, Ofer in this one with an RBI, 249 average, 752 OPS. Juan Soto, the one and only, with a 1-for-4 game, but it was a big ding-dong, his 25th of the season there for Juan, and that had him now at a 252 average as well as an 883 OPS. The Polar Bear and Pete Alonso, another Ofer, unfortunately, 266 average, 861 OPS. Alonso is officially back to where Alonso was expected to be. McNeil, 2-for-4, big game for Jeff with some McDoubles in this one, 252 average, 811 OPS. Jeff has just been exactly what you have been needing from Jeff. Nothing too crazy, but he's been going gap to gap more. He's been getting the job done. He's been lifting the baseball for more power. That's obviously positive for sure. That in regards to if it wasn't lining up with the audio for a second. I would just say refresh with the stream though, because that may have been a problem on your end as well. As we continue back in here though, guys, Starling Marte, 2-for-3, another great game offensively for Marte. He's now up to a 289 average, everybody. Starling Marte, just like that, has the highest batting average of any eligible batter for the Mets right now this season, a 788 OPS as well. Francisco Alvarez, 2-for-4 with 2 runs scored for Alvy, 250 average, 721 OPS, including a double. Brett Beatty, 0-for-3 while playing second and third, but did have a walk, 235 average, 710 OPS. Ronnie Mauricio, the star of the game in this one, 4-for-4 indeed, with the 2 RBIs, the 2 doubles, and the home run, 252 average, 761 OPS. And Luis Angel Acuna, who had a run scored, was now at a 239 average and a 578 OPS. Tyrone Taylor, who came in for McNeil to end the ball game, 204 average, 558 OPS. To all the people saying that Tyrone Taylor is better than Luis Robert, I got a bridge to sell you, baby. Listen, I understand that both have been underwhelming with the bat this year, but Robert's been red hot post All-Star break, and he's such a great 5-tool talent type when he's right. Taylor's defense and base running is fantastic. But even then, Robert is still a better base runner. He can still get more bags consistently. And defensively, Robert, when he's right, is as good as any. Tyrone Taylor has been elite defensively, though, so I'm not going to take anything away from him. And yes, Juan, there are a lot of rumors going on with that, and you should definitely be prepared should it happen. If you guys are not for Sandy Alcantara, I'm telling you right now, you better start getting for Sandy Alcantara, because there is a great reality that the Mets land someone like him. I'm getting more in the category of being surprised if the Mets don't land a starter than I am surprised if they do. And that has definitely went in hand with things that have been relayed my way, both on a personal level and on a public level that we've read over the past 24 hours. I will expand more on the things I know on a personal level and our content tomorrow, because I do not want to spill too much of the beans just yet. So you guys will just have to wait a little bit longer for that, but trust me, it'll be worth your while. What's also worth your while, guys, is make sure to hit that like and subscribe on if you haven't already. If you're enjoying the Mets content, as we're breaking down the Mets now on a 7-game heater, mind you, a lot to be happy about with this Metropolitan team. It's great to see the balance from the offense to the bullpen, and obviously the rotation. We're just hoping to get more length out of it. David Pearson did his job, though, in this series, so we can't complain there. We just want to see more consistency, more depth, more length from some of these other key starters that we're going to get into in this one. So, folks, now, to all of our replay viewers, that's going to cut things off for our live show. But before I let our replay viewers go, because we're going to continue on the show, everybody, for everyone that is watching this live right now, we're going to talk a bit more on the trade front. I do want to leave you with this. A really cool stat that I found there that was actually on ESPN's broadcast today that I want to relay is as follows. The Mets offense entering tonight's ball game, their top 4 is 3rd best in baseball with an 826 OPS. Mind you, that was entering tonight's game, so that changed a little bit. Mets offense 5 through 9 has currently a 651 OPS, good for 23rd in baseball. So that's why the Mets are kind of right smack dab in the middle of the pack in offense this season, because their top 4, 1 right, have been electric, but their bottom, 5 through 9, 6 through 9 has really been lagging big time on the consistency front. But everyone watching live now, guys, we're going to get to your comments, questions, and concerns. We're going to have some trade conversations. We're going to give you guys some sneak peeks into conversations that we're going to have more of tomorrow as well. And just to be on the lookout leading up to the deadline, I'm going to relay some things your way, everybody. So be on the lookout for that. But everyone that watched this on replay, let me know your biggest takeaway from tonight's not only 5-3 victory, but the Mets now winning 7 consecutive ball games. They're on a heater right now. I love it. You love it as well. Let's talk more Mets baseball here as soon as tomorrow, guys. Everyone live, let's continue on the discussion. Everyone on replay, this is where we're cutting things off. Let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.